Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. I'm Rachel, and if you're listening to this, I've probably changed my intro sound from a little bit of music that kind of fades into some rain, um, which I kind of thought that might be kind of a fun little like intro, just with the various title and all that sort of stuff. So, hopefully that's kind of nice. It's only going to last for like about maybe a minute or two, and then it kind of fades away. Um, but anyway, welcome back to my channel. We are talking today about a book called The Undoing of Alejandro Valesco, and it is by Diego Boneta or Boneta. Yeah, Boneta. And from what I'm to understand, Diego Boneta is an actor who has written this novel. I'm personally not familiar with his, I guess, his acting chops, so to speak, but it does look as though he's got. It says 3 books in his Goodreads, but it does look like it's this same book, maybe translated. So that's just according to Goodreads. This does seem to be his first book, which is kind of cool. Debut novel. I enjoy picking those up. I like picking up books that are by smaller writers or smaller authors looking to find their foothold into the writing world, looking to find their audience. Um, I did actually recently get an email from Oscar O'Rourke, who wrote When the Iris is Pink, and it was just such a lovely email. He was thanking me for reviewing his book and his novella, and he said that he does have another book coming out. So I do think I'm going to be interested in getting that EPUB or what have you. Maybe I can get it through NetGalley and continue on his writing journey with him by being maybe one of his readers. Very excited. So more than glad I was able to actually pick that up and give him some good feedback. So Mr. Oscar O'Rourke, you're doing a great job. But today, again, we're talking about The Undoing of Alejandro Valesco, and it was actually a pretty interesting read. So I think what we'll do, we'll read the summary and we'll go from there. But I will say there are a couple points that, if you're not familiar with Spanish, some Spanish dialogue does come up. Now, I have just a little bit of Spanish from high school kind of exposure as well as some in college. Although for the past 3-ish years, I've been working primarily on trying to enhance my French game. So, I felt as though I got the gist of a lot of the Spanish dialogue, but maybe not full comprehension. Maybe bullet points or asterisks on the bottom for translation. Now, sometimes in the story, they did kind of make mention of what it translates to, like lightly or generally. But I feel like just like kind of my mental translation probably didn't do the greatest job of the due credit that those conversations really deserved. So just kind of that little notice. But let's dive in. After Alejandro Valesco is found dead, a handsome stranger visits the family. But when this newcomer's secrets collide with those of Alejandro's sister, sparks fly and blood is shed. So let's see. And again, it says a handsome young man named Julian Villarreal, I think. Villarreal, I think is what I was saying in my head. Villarreal arrives at the opulent Valesco estate to pay his respects after the unexpected death of Alejandro Valesco, his close friend and tennis rival. But soon he becomes entwined in the Valesco's family's glamorous lifestyle and their daughter Sofia mysterious allure. Mercurial and quick-witted, Sophia seems determined to give Julian a run for his money, and he's prepared to play along, both on and off the tennis courts. As the tension between Julian and Sophia sizzles, Julian hides a much darker, I think supposed to say secret, that Alejandro's death was no accident. And the more Julian learns about the inner workings of the Valesco family, the greater the danger he uncovers. Okay. With power and status comes opponents bent on toppling the empire by blackmail, revenge, or even murder. Julian's quest for answers will only lure him deeper into the den of vipers, but teasing out Sophia's own intentions may be the steamiest and deadliest game of all. So it is considered a mystery, thriller, romance, suspense, and I would say a lot of family drama as well. That was one of the notes that I made for myself. I was like, a lot of family drama and tension. Now, one thing I'm not completely familiar with is um, Hispanic culture, or especially Mexican culture. It seems as though the Valesco family's main estate is in Mexico. So when Julian goes down there, he too, I think, he's familiar with some of the culture, but he's not like completely looped in on some of the various things. However, it's also because he's presenting himself as a person who comes from money, and he doesn't quite act as one of the upper crust does. And one of the people in the book does call Julian in that, kind of like a chameleon in disguise, as well as they are as well, because they also kind of put on this facade of being well-to-do without actually being well-to-do. Maybe she and it's a she kind of like hides the stitching on her purse. Maybe it's a knockoff purse, and so she ties a little scarf around it so people are more distracted by the scarf rather than paying attention to the details on the bag. She does kind of call him on the fact that his suit, maybe the stitching is not as what maybe a higher end would be. So she's like, oh, it's off the rack and that sort of thing. So Julian does walk into this scenario a little bit out of his depth, but you can definitely tell he's coming to this household with a purpose. There is the mother Maria, the father Gabriel, there is the daughter Sophia, who was Alejandro's sister, and there's Alejandro himself. It seems to have been that the Valesco family has only been these four people. However, Sophia has this long-term boyfriend named Mateo, and Sophia also has a couple of friends that I don't know how close of friends they are, but they seem pretty tight-knit, although everybody within this story is playing some sort of game. There is something that everybody is not saying, whether it be the fact that this person's pretending to be wealthy, or this person is just the son of somebody who is important, or anything like that. Sophia doesn't seem very happy with her long-term boyfriend, Mateo. She's with him, but it's more out of obligation rather than love. And honestly, I really hate that sort of scenario. Like, I hate when someone does something out of obligation. Like, they just feel like, I have to. I know my role. And it's like, no, your role is to live your own life. But maybe that's just my personality and my perspective on how I live my own life. I cannot put my own life and my own, like, choices on other people to make for them. So if this is what she's choosing, this is what she's choosing. But throughout the book, you also see that she's not incredibly happy with those choices. So I think that's where I'm also kind of like, I wish she would get a backbone so she was more happy. But definitely Julian coming into the picture is very much a bit of a thorn in her side, because even though they don't start off enemies to lovers, they do start off in kind of a little bit of animosity between them. However, they both enjoy playing tennis, so they go out to the court pretty frequently, which seems to kind of stir up some romantic feelings as well. He is mentioned as a handsome stranger and a handsome young man several times in the first couple of paragraphs, not only in the book, but in the summary on Goodreads as well. So we are automatically intended to believe this guy is some sort of like movie star-esque. I mean, I think in the book they even do mention that he's like movie star-esque, kind of like appeal, allure, which is fine. I mean, some movie stars are really cute, and some are just kind of like, if you're too attractive, then it's just a little bit like much. But Henry Cavill, he's super attractive, and it's just enough. Anyway, I don't picture Julian to look like him, but anyway, things get a little messy along the way. Julian and Sophia have a couple little flings and trysts. They kind of give way, even if she's supposedly engaged, officially or not, to Mateo. Again, I don't think she's super happy in that relationship. She's constantly calling his hands clammy, and he's doing very, I would say, juvenile and maybe immature different things. And Gabriel, her father, Sophia's father, and Alejandro's father, he's like the head of the Valesco family. He also doesn't seem to respect women in any sort of like leadership role. So when it comes to dealing with his company, he seems to only want to, I guess he wants to keep it like an old boys club sort of thing. But it is very interesting that Julian shows up on Maria and Gabriel's doorstep with the story that he was a friend of Alejandro, that he went to school with him, that they played tennis, and all of that is true. However, they very quickly just kind of accept him almost into the family. They're like, okay, well, you can stay in our house. And then at one point in the book, they go to like Switzerland, and so he gets to go to Switzerland as well. They're all just vacationing. Again, they were in Mexico, and now they're like flying over to Switzerland. I guess that's just kind of the level of rich this family is, because they also take several other people as well. It's just like we're just taking an entourage to Switzerland, and then they take helicopters here and there, and so anyway, it's an amount of money that I can't really fathom, because I have never had that sort of money to do any sort of thing with. But Julian also at times seems a little out of his depth. He does start to uncover various things. Now, one of the biggest reasons that he is here is because he does not believe Alejandro's death was a suicide. That is what the kind of the reports said, the police reports said, but he, for one, does not believe his friend did that, and he's got a couple of reasons why. Now, I'm not going to divulge those reasons, but he's convinced that someone has done this to Alejandro. And so he's kind of on that quest for answers to kind of get justice for Alejandro. And I think everybody really has a pretty good motive along the way. I mean, just kind of throwing that out there, just I think there's a lot of red herrings, because everybody has some reason why they may or may not have wanted to see Alejandro removed. Could it be blackmail? Yes. Revenge? Maybe. Could it be toppling this empire of the Valescos? Perhaps. And do a couple other people maybe not make it along the way? Maybe. If you read it, you'll find out. But I just thought this was a pretty good book. Again, mystery thriller. There was a little bit more action than some. This is not what I would call a cozy mystery by any means. I don't think I would call this a cozy mystery. Someone else may mention that maybe they think it's a little on par with The Talented Mr. Ripley, which I believe is a movie with Matt Damon? Question mark. It's been so long that I'm blanking on that movie, honestly, but better than I thought it was going to be, for sure. Did not know this was a debut novel, but I did pick it up knowing it was going to be a mystery suspense. I just wasn't certain, kind of from the title, where we were going or what we were going to do. I thought the characters were pretty well developed. No real world building needed, because I think many of us can picture Mexico or Switzerland or various places like that. So we didn't have to create a new world, which is perfectly fine with me. There's probably more tennis being played than I really anticipated. So I guess if you like tennis, then you'll get the references or what have you to what's being said about tennis. I, in fact, do not. I've only known 2 people in my life who absolutely love it and would play it frequently as kind of a hobby. But anyway, I'm glad they enjoy it. I used to play with my brother when I was like a kid, and we never played by rules. We did the same thing with racquetball when we would go to the gym. We would just hit it as hard as we can around the room. It was great. Good workout. But anyway, I think that's all I really wanted to kind of mention about this book. I think I want to try to stop there just simply because I don't want to give too much away. Hopefully I've kind of built up the reason for the mystery and where we're going. We're trying to figure out who killed Alejandro, and Julian really seems to be the one who's doing the investigating. He doesn't really pull other people into his confidants. He is trying to figure this out, but he has secrets of his own. It's not just the fact that he is not well to do. There are a couple other things that he's also holding close to the vest that he's hoping people won't find out about him. But I'm going to stop there. It does look like that Amazon Prime Video is possibly picking up a series adaptation. So according to Rena B, that's what I'm seeing. Hey, could be good. I think this could play out really well for maybe like a 3 or 4 part series. I don't think it needs to be too much longer than that. Honestly, I think I finished this book in like 2 sittings. It was only like 275 pages. But it comes out May 1st, which I am recording this the day before, so I have it to release. And until next time, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you have not liked and subscribed already, then I certainly hope you will. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.